Virginia on this hot early September morning, and I am out in my squash tunnel, and this is my Tromboncino squash plant, which is, I planted relatively late. I planted it at the in July as opposed to planting when I planted my other squash. On purpose, because I wanted to have some squash that came in later after the zucchini and things like that were gone. Now, the Tromboncino squash is an amazing plant. First of all, it will grow like crazy. This is 2 plants growing on this side of the trellis, and it just is taking off everywhere now. And the Tromboncino is an interesting shaped squash. It grows down like this, and this is an unusual squash in that you can pick it when it is green like this and relatively young. It is a super sweet, tender squash. My family actually likes it a lot more than zucchini. It's just more flavorful and holds its shape a whole lot better. I pick it and I will put it, I will freeze it in cubes, and I will grate it for zucchini bread. But I love freezing it in cubes, and it holds its shape much better than other squashes. So I can use it in the winter time to throw into soups or into stews or into pasta sauces. So it is really a delicious squash. Here is one Tromboncino. This is about the size I like to pick them to eat. Now, the coolest thing about a Tromboncino squash is if you leave it on the vine, it will grow bigger, and it can grow up to like 3 feet long, and it hardens over and becomes a winter squash that's also edible, much like a butternut squash. It's not quite as densely flavored as a butternut squash, but it certainly can serve in all the purposes that you use winter squash for. So I love it because it's one of the last things that's growing in the garden, and hopefully I'll have them hanging down as this plant makes its way up the trellis, and I'll just let some of them go on to become winter squashes. It's a pretty easy to care for plant in that it tends to fend off some of the pests that plague them. Although I do have some leaves here that, are showing some sign of, I don't know whether that was some leaf hoppers or something like that. But I'm just going to prune those off because I also want to keep the airflow coming into this plant. I got to show you how this thing is growing because it's too funky. This is the most fun plant. Okay, so look at the way this squash is growing. It's like a swan growing. Here's the top, and then it curves down and curves on down. Whoops, there's a leaf in the way, and then it goes down to the bottom. But that one's going to get picked because it's ready for picking now. Any longer than that, and it's going to get too tough. This plant just makes me immensely happy. Okay, here's the one, little swan. It just makes you laugh. I mean, it just makes you totally laugh. Look at this thing. It looks like a flamingo. It looks like a swan. Okay, Tromboncino, you're awesome. Let me go ahead and get this one. There we go. 2 Tromboncino. Well, that's what we like about Tromboncino squash. These things are just so fun. How can you not like food like this? It's so tender and actually smells good too, believe it or not. So we're going to have this in our pasta tonight for dinner. So I've grown Tromboncino squash now this is the 2nd year. And I was just intrigued by the concept of a sort of a winter-summer squash or summer-winter squash. And something that would obviously help to, that could fend off the pests. Just a hit of the garden. People loved it, and everybody loved the way it tastes. That's even better. But you do need a really sturdy trellis because the vines get large. Thanks for watching today. I hope your garden's growing well. Take care. Bye.